All right. Well, hi, everyone. I'm Matthew Hayetson, the founder at Hayetson. Hello, Carol and Kristina.
Hi, Matthew.
Thank you for joining us. I'm joined by two colleagues and collaborators and friends, and I'm so excited to be having this conversation with them. We have Carol, who is a pediatric clinical speech language pathologist, and Kristina, who's a licensed clinical psychologist with expertise in neuropsychological assessment and learning strategies. They both have really long-term storied careers, and they don't like to brag about themselves, so that's why I get to do that. But today's conversation is going to be very organic, and we're going to be chatting about a few things, namely learning trends we're seeing in children and remote learning, but also a really exciting new collaboration that Carol and Kristina have come together through. Despite their booming private practices, they've now come together as CK curriculum coaches, C for Carol and K for Kristina. And you'll be able to find them at ckcurriculumcoaches.com. And we're going to talk some about their exciting new work, the services they're offering in this exciting time to pivot and evolve and really be there for families. And again, some of those trends we're seeing in remote learning in the trenches as practitioners and allied professionals. So I've got some questions, and we're going to take turns answering and sharing. And thanks for being here with us today. It's so gratifying. Yeah, we've known each other a long time, but we were realizing, right, Kristina, that I've known you for quite a while, more than a decade, maybe even coming up on 2. Carol and you have a long history. Yeah, and Carol and I know you and I haven't collaborated for as many years, but we feel like we've been friends forever, right?
We have a good time.
Yeah, so it's really a treat to have you, and I've got some questions ready for you, and I know you're going to take some turns and maybe share similar or different points of view on some of the same questions or take some differently, and that's all good. So the first question is just kind of about your long history of collaboration. And I'd love if you could share with everyone how you met and found creative ways to marry your two disciplines in support of kids.
Thank you so much, Matthew, and thank you for speaking with us today. It's interesting because we began working together over 20 years ago, and we began in a multidisciplinary evaluation clinic. And at that time, we really realized the importance of collaboration. I learned so much from working with Kristina that when the center closed and we worked independently, we still consulted with each other about cases and strategies and how to move forward with kids. And I think this long-term relationship grew out of really successful results and upon a real respect for each other as professionals. Kristina, can you share some of your experiences?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Carol and I are both early risers, which means we were able to collaborate on my early learning commute, which is a good way to start the day. It was a really good use of time. And we would just talk about kids. You know, I had often done an evaluation and Carol was doing the intervention. And we would just try to be creative and figure out how can we help these kids. And we really both share, I'd say, a strength-driven model in the sense that we talk about what are their strengths, what are their interests. Very often those two things would overlap. You know, if I'd see a kid with really strong visual spatial skills, they tended to like photography or they would like art. And we would just talk about how can we use those strengths to kind of help close the gap. And so that's, I think, what we started to realize. That's just an approach that we would individualize the intervention that we really enjoy doing. And now we're kind of carrying this forward.
That's fantastic. Yeah, and I know as in private practice, both of you respectively really thrive on collaboration. I think sometimes parents look for that synergy between providers, and it's not always there. So I think it's always refreshing when you guys are thinking about one another. And I know, Kristina, when you're assessing someone, you're thinking about recommendations and pairings and shepherding these sort of long-term collaborations.